There are many mysterious things and people in this world. Whether it is paranormal activity or natural occurrences, there's always something creepy or unusual going on. Many strange happenings take time to fully unearth. The man left ashore. September 8, 1863. A man was found ashore on the beach of Sandy Cove with both his legs amputated. The man was taken in by the local Acadians, who gave him the name Jerome. He was mute. The locals helped him out of Christian charity, but due to the lack of communication and his severe disability, all his decisions were made for him, and he was unable to speak for himself. Jerome lived for 42 years with the Dedier Comiau family. Zabeth Dedier took care of him and nursed him, and he became an honorary member of their family, even watching the Comiau children grow up. His life with them was simple, for his amputation made it impossible for him to be independent or to do manual work most men did. He would wake up, stare out the window, or go into the sun in the summer, and eat meals with the family and sleep. Jerome passed away in 1912 and was buried in the Catholic cemetery of Metighan along St. Mary's Bay in Nova Scotia. Decades passed and various individuals claimed they knew who Jerome was. Many believed the man to be Italian, perhaps a mutilated nobleman who kept his silence to save himself from political rivals. Another theory was that he was an Italian naval officer, injured on board and cruelly abandoned by his crewmates. Those who cared for him claimed he would sometimes utter Colombo and Trieste, further proving that he was Italian. Some, however, believed him to be Jeremiah Mahoney, an Irish immigrant who emigrated from Ireland to escape his family. Theories were abundant. Another theory claimed him to be Gamby the Frozen Man. Gamby was found in 1859 on a logging trail in New Brunswick and cared for in the parish of Chipman. His legs were amputated due to gangrene in the spring of 1861. The taxpayers of the village paid to have the man removed in 1863 because caring for him was too expensive. They believed Gamby to be Italian. The sequence of events and similarities in the story makes many people believe Gamby and Jerome to be the same person. Jerome never spoke enough to reveal the truth about himself. The ocean has served to be a place of intrigue, terror, and fascination for millennia. It is the great unknown. The only thing we truly know is that we don't know most of what is hidden away in the impossible to traverse depths. Lost artifacts from ancient civilizations, proof of alien technologies, missing shipwrecks, and the forgotten bodies of those lost at sea under inexplicable circumstances may all very well be floating in the internal abyss of the seas, concealed from our sight. Are we fated to discover more of our oceans in the future, or are we fated to never find out the truth at all? Only time will tell. The Lost Land of Paititi. Hidden somewhere in the jungles of southeast Peru is a lost land believed to reside somewhere east of the Andes. The existence of the lost land of Paititi was only discovered recently, as researchers in 2001 uncovered the written notes and descriptions provided by Andres Lopez in his missionary reports that were stored at the secured archives of the Jesuits of Rome. The document was believed to have been written somewhere around the 1600s and described a large hidden city that was rich in gold, silver and jewels and was located out in the middle of a tropical jungle that the natives referred to as Paititi. Although these notes have been in the possession of the Jesuits for several hundred years, it is believed that the Catholic Church worked to conceal the location of the ancient city for reasons not entirely known. Further evidence was uncovered that proved Andres Lopez brought the existence of the city to the attention of the Pope during his time, and still the reports were hidden away and never publicized. Later that year, archaeologists would find startling comparisons to the believed locations of the reported city and the discovery of ancient Inca military presence around the region of Beni and the Madre de Dios rivers. These researchers would then put forward a hypothesis that believed it to be possible that the city of Paititi is located somewhere in the Amazonian jungles nearby this region, as ancient Inca expeditions were common in that area. Today, the true location of the lost city is still not entirely known, but many documents and reports have surfaced surrounding these lost cities of gold hidden away in dense jungles. This could very well mean that until archaeological expeditions could travel into these regions, we may never uncover the preserved civilizations of the ancient past. The Parmod Sharma story. Parmod Sharma was born on the 11th of October 1944 in India's Bisauli village. At age 2.5, he started telling his mother to no longer cook his meals as he had a wife in Moradabad, a city that was 99 miles in the northeast of Bisauli, who would cook his meals. At age 3.5, he started giving detailed accounts of his past life and businesses he owned and operated with his family members. He particularly mentioned a shop called Mohan Brothers that sold biscuits and soda water, insisting that he was one of the Mohan brothers. Parmod had been a rich trader in his previous life and constantly complained about his family's less rosy financial situation. He hated curd and advised his family not to eat it, mentioning that he had become very sick after eating it in his previous life. He also disliked being submerged in water, which relates to his report of having passed away in a bathtub. He claimed to have been married and had 1 daughter and 4 sons, whom he was eager to see. He constantly asked his parents to take him for a visit to Moradabad, and they refused, but his mother promised to take him after he learned to read. News of Parmod's recollections reached the Mehra family in Moradabad and visited him in Bisauli, which fit the details of his account as they owned several businesses, including one which sold biscuits and soda water. They recognized the statements given by Parmod as matching the life of their late brother Parmanand Mehra, who was also their business partner. Parmanand had passed away in 1943. He had gorged on curd and subsequently developed a chronic gastrointestinal illness and then appendicitis and peritonitis, which led to his demise. He had tried naturopathic bath treatments and had been given a bath shortly before his death. When he was 5 years old, Parmod, accompanied by his father, went to visit the Mehras, and he instantly recognized most of them, and he also recognized that his office had been changed. Globsters. Oftentimes, it is no surprise to find a number of strange ocean life washing up on the shores of beaches from around the world. Additionally, many of these strange species coming from the ocean can range in all sorts of shapes and sizes, from dolphins to whales to sharks and even to swarms of flooding jellyfish all across the beach. Interestingly enough, there are a number of cases in which impossible to understand species have washed up on beaches all around the world that are referred to as globsters. Globsters are described as being large white globs of animals washed up that have been reported as sometimes still moving or completely dead. This has led to many referring to these large masses such as that of different kinds of sea monsters, though researchers quite usually believe they're nothing more than a form of mistaken identity. One of the most convincing cases, however, comes from an encounter of a globster referred to as El Trunco. Back on the 24th of October in 1924, a strange and unexplainable monster washed ashore after witnesses combing the beaches claimed to have seen an even more impossible to explain scenario playing before them. Out in the waves close to the shore, there appeared to be 2 large killer whales working in unison to attack an even larger creature in the ocean that not a single person standing watch could explain. The ocean monster was described as having a long and massive trunk similar to that of an elephant, a thick white fur wrapped around its entire body similar to that of a polar bear, and the bloated and massive body of a small whale. Given the massive trunk extending from the face of the white furry beast, many gave the creature the name of Trunco, and believed it to be a strange monster unknown by researchers of the time. Despite the body rotting away on the beaches for more than 10 days, with a wide variety of people visiting the site, not a single scientist or researcher went to the body, and none of it was preserved for future study. This has led many to believe that perhaps the creature was nothing more than a large whale and a case of mistaken identity. Given the fact that nothing could have been preserved of the location, however, it is hard to assume that the creature was a case of mistaken identity, and the witnesses that recount the tale say overwhelmingly so that that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, it appears that we may never know what the creature really looks like and where it came from, marking it as an impossible to explain ocean mystery. Today, many cryptid websites on the internet have removed the Trunco creature and accepted the rather half-hearted explanation of an old bloating carcass as the cause of the sighting, despite numerous witness claims more than detailing the strangeness of the creature.
Radar discovery. Alcatraz's structures were first constructed as a military outpost, hoping to be a line of defense from any potential invading forces. Few people know of its original role, and many aspects of the island's early history are overshadowed by its more recent past. However, in 2019, a group of archaeologists discovered evidence of hidden military structures beneath the federal penitentiary. According to the group's findings, they used non-invasive methods to create a map of the underground regions below the island. What they found was amazing, an incredibly preserved fortification dating back to the 19th century. The discovery adds evidence to the idea that although most of Alcatraz's 19th century fortifications were demolished in the early 20th century, some of it still lies intact, effectively working as a time capsule to the long since gone period of Alcatraz's early history. An archaeologist from Bimington University stated, "These remains are so well preserved and so close to the surface, they weren't erased from the island, they're just right beneath your feet." Before mid-17th century America, the island that would eventually house the infamous Al Capone was little more than a stretch of desolate land in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. That eventually changed when the US stationed the island as a defensive outpost, leading the island to have several structures erected on top of it. Due to its remote and isolated nature, it was difficult for the island to stay modernized in regards to weapons and artillery. Towards the dawn of the 19th century, Alcatraz's equipment was already obsolete, leading to the dissolvement as a military outcrop. Once the now famous penitentiary was built in the 20th century, the old fortifications were believed to have been totally replaced. However, these new findings state that some of the original buildings are still preserved beneath the island's current surface. Using clever radar technology that measures the wavelengths of signals that bounce back from underground, researchers were able to peer into the subterranean world below and discovered that a rich complex of underground structures has been lying hidden for centuries. This method of archaeology means that teams can easily map out areas without the need to disturb the ground or potentially damage any finds that may lie below. Without any manual excavation, the team of this 2019 study were able to find a labyrinth of subterranean structures. These safe ways of underground mapping are vital for sensitive research areas such as Alcatraz. John Martini, author of the study as well as an Alcatraz historian, stated, "This in fact strengthens what a number of historians and archaeologists have long suspected. On an isolated island, there are only a number of places you can construct. Could there be more secrets to uncover underneath the surface of Alcatraz? What other government work could have been lost to the past? Below the surface, Alcatraz is still full of mysteries. There's still a whole lot to be learned."